Now, this is quite a story. A Home Office contractor has reportedly been sacked for sharing a post made by Reform UK MP Richard Tice in a WhatsApp group chat. Gary Costin, who spent 15 years working for a government contractor, was fired after a complaint about the message he shared, which raised concerns about a Muslim lobbying group. He was subsequently dismissed by the firm that was contracted by the Home Office, despite the company accepting that he had not intended to cause any offence. Joining me tonight is former Home Office contractor Gary Costin. Gary, thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to be honest with you. When I read this story, I'm shocked on a daily basis in this country, but I was really shocked when I read this story. Just tell our viewers, if you can, briefly, what on earth has happened to you?
Good evening. Basically, last April, this WhatsApp post was sent to me. And I put it on another post, which was with 12 of my colleagues and my peers. Couple of days after I'd actually posted it, I was called in the office when I was meant to be going away on a charter and asked the question, did I actually post this post? And I said yes. So they said, well, in that case, we need to investigate this. And they suspended me there and then. Sorry,
Gary. Please carry on, Gary.
I then spent the next 6 months being investigated, had a disciplinary meeting planned around June, and that was cancelled. They then decided to interview supposedly all the other colleagues on the WhatsApp group, but they managed to actually find, I think, 7 or 8 out of the 12, although they had stated from the start they knew who everyone was. And
Gary, if I may, you were suspended and essentially then sacked. Is that correct?
No, I wasn't sacked until November the 7th this year.
Right.
Last
okay.
year. And so they kept me waiting for 6-7 months.
And the official reason that you were given by the firm, is it Mighty?
Mighty.
The official reason given was around what exactly?
Basically, in the end, although the allegation from the whistleblower was that I was a racist, a bully, I was inciting racial hate amongst the Muslim colleagues in the workplace, which I never did, was basically they couldn't get me for any of that in the end, and said I'd broken their social media policy and discipline policy by posting this. Although, as far as I was concerned, WhatsApp wasn't social media. It's a messaging platform.
And just to be clear, what you did do was share a note from Richard Tice that was already on social media about a sort of Muslim lobbying group within the civil service, and you made a brief comment saying something like "uh-oh," as in, that could be interpreted multiple ways.
And that's what, there, sir.
Pardon me?
I didn't put anything whatsoever on that post.
Right, you didn't put anything on the post. That was already there. So you simply shared it into a WhatsApp group chat with colleagues, and you because of that, you ended up losing your job. Gary, just before we move on, just what impact has this had on your life? Because I read this and I thought, are we living in Great Britain here, or are we living in the Soviet Union? I mean, this is possibly the most Orwellian story I've come across in a long time, which is saying something given some of the things that we've seen in this country over the last 2 years. I mean, what impact has this had on your life?
Well, it's affected my marriage. Thankfully, my wife and I have now got over this, but we had a real tough time of it. I was worried at one stage of losing the flat that I live in, that I rent. I've had to sell my car to help pay bills. I nearly I did go to the doctors to take antidepressants, but because I'm stubborn and I'd read about the antidepressants. He decided in the end not to, and basically got through it without that.
Well, Gary, we wanted to draw attention to this story so viewers can go and explore it for themselves, because I'm going to be frank, I think it's absolutely outrageous, everything that I've read. We do have a statement which has been shared by Mighty on other forums in the media, and they've said, we don't comment on individual cases, but there is zero tolerance for racism or discrimination of any type in our business. Of course, that is a statement that Gary Costin would strongly oppose, and we have reached out to the Home Office and we're awaiting their comment on this case, but it is clearly, I think, absolutely outrageous.
What do we make of it in the audience? Do people feel as though free speech is under threat, do you think? Yes! Yeah, OK. I mean, there's been a lot of people, clearly, who feel that way. There's a lady on the front row here. Thank you very much. Great to see you. Now, we haven't got a huge amount of time, so to make sure you rattle through it if you can, but what's the question that you would like to ask?
Really, about free speech, you're saying here that the Home Office is involved. I want to know why the Blob and the Home Office, unelected people, are allowed to rule the roost and lay down the law. OK. So why? So in what sense, though? Sorry. So that they can say, you can't say this, you can't say that. I personally have experience of suffering with not having free speech. I actually stood as a Reform candidate, and I was suspended because someone on one of my Facebook pages for my campaigners had put an inappropriate post, and I was suspended because someone had put an inappropriate post. There were 2,000 people on it. I couldn't monitor it. So, and then anyway, I joined Reform because they stand for free speech. So, I'm sorry, free speech doesn't exist.
Well, right. I think
all right, well, go on.
If this was on a WhatsApp work group, I believe, I don't know what thing was posted, but on my WhatsApp work group, if I posted something that my boss thought was inappropriate for work, my boss can fire me. So I guess that's the same with the Home Office. But I do think
it wasn't the Home Office. It was the contractor, Mighty, that fired him. The Home Office had nothing to do with that.
Right.
Mighty was a contractor for the Home Office. The guy worked for Mighty, not for the Home Office.
And part of his job, was about looking at different foreign-born people, and part of the job was about whether to
about deporting people.
Work-related.
Yeah. But I think the question here is, why did Richard Tice say that the group that was there was to undermine government policy? Now, GB News reported this correctly. You actually said that the group promoted, and I quote, a clear understanding of generic Islam and was to provide advice to management on religious issues that affected Muslim staff. Now, that's a very different thing to what Richard Tice posted. He said it was there to undermine government policy. Complete nonsense. So you've got to ask, when the guy was reposting what Richard Tice had done, and I presume approving it on this WhatsApp group, he was actually reinforcing something that was absolutely incorrect. But GB News got it right, Richard Tice got it wrong.
Can I just say really quickly, though, Mitty actually went on to claim that sharing this in the WhatsApp group could be perceived as offensive and racist by others, though they accepted that
he didn't mean to.
That's the problem.
Why aren't we looking at intent rather than outcome? Why aren't we looking at... Why are we firing people because of what would be perceived to be wrong, rather than saying, "Hey, what did they mean it that way?"
It's fine to cause offence, and actually,
even if
the problem.
I get offended by things
in this country. It's fine to cause offence, and I absolutely agree with you about freedom of speech, because it's vital we have freedom of speech in this country, and that means you have the freedom to offend people, but you don't have the freedom to cause religious hatred.
Let's bring Susan Hall in here. Keep woke foreign ideologies out, defend Europe. These are Rangers fans, football fans, at a football game. Anyone who's ever been to a football match will tell you hear all sorts of songs chanted in the terraces, don't you? You know, OK, it's like... Well, the idea that UEFA have... I mean, Rangers have branded their own fans shameful here as a result. What's going on?
I think the world has gone mad. This lady was talking about something that was put on a post when she's got thousands of followers. During the mayoralty, I had quite a few of these various Facebook things. I never went near them because obviously I was so busy out doing what one does.
Yep.
And then some people posted things that shouldn't have been there. And we had to have people all the time trying to take things off because people were complaining about it. You've got to look at intent. How can they sack somebody when they admit that they accept that he didn't mean to be offensive or cause a problem?
Yeah.
The world has gone mad.
Well, we had people on the streets. You remember shortly after October the 7th, we had a group which is now banned in the UK called Hizb ut-Tahrir, and they had people with big orange banners calling for jihad on the streets of Britain. And the Met Police said at the time, well, there's context there. There's a bit of context there, OK? But you've got a bloke who might share something from Richard Tice or Rangers fans just saying, keep woke ideology out of prison. Oh, it's shameful and wrong. Absolutely shameful and wrong. Go on.
Well, I'm just going to say, like, the Rangers thing I've got a bit more sympathy with because it's the word... It's because they worded it woke foreign ideologies, and it sounds a bit like keep foreigners out of Britain. I'm of Greek descent. Like, what does that mean? And so that's why I think if the word foreign wasn't in there, it would be a little bit more acceptable.
All right. We can't go back to you, unfortunately. Sorry, because I've got to go for the next topic. I'm afraid. Sorry, but you'll have another chance later on. We went back to the Home Office response, and also a spokesperson for Mighty, I think they're called, said we don't comment on individual cases, but we've got zero tolerance for racism or discrimination. UEFA has, as I've said, charged now Rangers. Right.